Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the second video of Let's Make Arma 3 series. I hope you are all enjoying this as much as I do. This is a series where I basically open a mission editor, start recording and make a mission for you guys so that you can see how things are done in the proper mission editor. This is a little bit of extra information to the tutorials that I make. And the tutorials explain all the commands that I use here, and here I practically use them to form something that can be playable, and with a little bit of work it can be even enjoyable. All of these missions are made for single player. I may do the multiplayer missions later in the future, but right now all of these are almost exclusively made for single player, so better have that in mind. If you want to port these missions to multiplayer, you might have to do some slight changes and have many things in mind. Alright, so what is the plan for today? Well, record it. That's the first point on my head, because I had a little bit of a problem last time. I actually made the mission before so that I can test if everything's working and if my plans are not bad, because in the last video I made kinda 1 or 2 mistakes and I don't want to repeat that so much, so I made the mission before. That was the first time I made a mission. Then I decided to record something, so I jumped in, I started recording, and after like 2 hours I found out that my audio software wasn't working and nothing really recorded. So that was excellent. So this is my third time I'm actually in this mission and I'm gonna be creating it for the third time. Hopefully it will, at least it will work, because that's like what I expect of this mission. Alright, so as you can see from this title, we are gonna be making a sniper mission where the player actually goes to the enemy base, observes the situation, finds his target, and then eliminates the target and escapes away. That's all that there is to it. I am actually gonna do a little twist at the start, but I'm not gonna complicate the mission too much. You will see in the future what I have in mind. So I have some units already prepared on this map. You can see that I have the Stratis map opened, and I have the player's unit, which is this little dude. He already has this identity. Alright, I didn't want to do that. Okay, so this is a normal sniper, just as everyone else. I have some objects over here in this base. I have some units. I'm gonna get to them later. Right now, these objects, I have a few cargo containers just laying around to create some atmosphere, because when you are creating a sniper mission, you should really pay a lot of attention to the enemy base, because the player's unit can be like a lone sniper in the woods. You don't really need a base for him. And he kinda just moves around, then finds a best spot, and then observes the enemy base. He kinda looks through his binoculars or a rangefinder, and the enemy base is like the only place that the player can see throughout the mission. Then he just escapes and that's it. So really, if you want to make a nice base, you should consider doing that. It will improve the mission a lot. So to indicate that, I made a few cargo containers just laying around. It doesn't really matter to me right now, because I want to make the concept working, not the mission itself. The mission itself will of course be just a framework of a mission, but it will be fully functional. Okay, next I have this ship. I already have it called the ship because I use other objects and other commands. As you can see, I have this container attached to the ship. That is done through the command attach to. I have it with these coordinates that I have tested out. I spent some time doing this and I found out that -8 and -1.8 are the best coordinates or relative coordinates for the attachment, and then I had to move the cargo container 90 degrees to one side because it wouldn't fit otherwise. The other container is exactly the same thing, it just has, it's above the first one, and then I have this civilian attached to the ship. He is on the back of the ship, you will see him in a while. So all of these are on the ship. And why is that? I actually want to make the player believe that his target is on the ship. So he will come to the base, or close to the base, he will start searching for his target, and the first thing that he is gonna focus on is the ship itself. And the twist is, the target won't be there, he will actually search the ship, he won't find anyone, or at least he won't find his target, so he will actually have to focus on the rest of the base, and that will be the moment when the enemy, it will be an enemy officer or his target or whatever, some soldier, he will come to the base, he will actually fly in a helicopter, he will land, he will get out of his helicopter, and then he will board some vehicle and leave. In that time when he is out of the helicopter and not in the car, that will be the time when the player has the unique chance to actually shoot the officer. So that's the mission plan. And we might as well start working. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create all the objects. So I'm gonna make an independent story Akhanteros. This is the perfect model for the enemy officer because he's actually different than the other guys. So I like that a lot, so I'm gonna name him officer to make the work easier for me, and I'm gonna remove all of his weapons, which is done by the remove all weapons command, like this. I'm also gonna force him to always stand up, which is done by the set unit pose command. Set unit pose up to indicate that he cannot crouch or he cannot lay down. And that's it for now. So that's for the enemy officer. I'm gonna create his helicopter as well. So I'm gonna choose this one, for example, name it heli, and I'm gonna do like this: allow damage false. I talked about the allow damage lately. It's a command that prevents the unit from taking any damage whatsoever. I'm gonna set it to flying so that the helicopter spawns actually in the air and not in the sea. So that's the helicopter, and the helicopter will it will swoop in later in the mission once the player actually searches the ship. I'm also gonna move this player a little bit closer to the base so that I don't have to walk all the way. From this position, more or less, I can already see the base clearly, so that's much better for me to test it and to find out what is wrong with the mission. As you can see, I already have the intel set up. I have the mission name here, I have the date and the time set up, I have the correct overcast, and I have some wind over here. I don't want rain or fog in my mission, because if I actually enable some fog, I won't be able to see my targets, and if I enable rain, it's just gonna make loads of noise. So I want this weather. It's actually pretty good. And the first thing that we are gonna do is we are gonna set up how the player actually spots the ship, and that will be done by a trigger or two. And that will be a trigger with a condition. Player knows about ship is more than 2. What is the knows about command? Well, it's a rather strange command, to be honest with you. It it doesn't really indicate if you know about the unit or not, but more or less if you have spotted it, or if the computer, at least if the system knows that you should know about the unit. It works much better for the AI, but it's okay for the player as well. The value ranges from 0 to 4, and as I said before, it really works for the AI, so that you can kinda see if they have already noticed your group or not. They might not know that you are an enemy side, but they can spot you from quite a distance, and the knows about command is good to see if you have been spotted already or not. That doesn't mean that they're gonna start shooting at you, but whatever. So we'll make the side chat command that displays a radio message, a blue one in this case, and the player will say just some basic stuff. So it will be target location found, searching for target. Just like this, it's all that we need right now. And actually we are gonna add a variable over here, and that is gonna be for example false target is true. So that is a global variable that we are gonna use in more triggers. Let's make another one. We want the condition to be false target. Now that we have created, we might as well just use it, and it will be 4 seconds later, and the player will add another message. Do not underestimate the power of the messages and text and all the sounds in the mission. You really should consider, if the sniper is on a mission, he really should at least mention to his headquarters or to his commander that he has found his target and that he's about to shoot. That's usually how it works. So really the player should communicate at least somehow with his commanders. So target not located. A very simple and short message. So right now, once you actually start focusing on the ship, the first command or the first trigger will be activated. It's this one, the left one, and the player will say that he has found the ship. 4 seconds later, he will actually mention that he hasn't found the target. And we want to get a proper response from his headquarters, so we'll make another unit over here. It's gonna be a blue fort guy, and his name will be HQ, and I don't really care about the other parameters, and I'm gonna assign him a custom call sign. I don't know if I have done this in the previous mission or not. I think I have, but whatever. We'll set a module group modifier set call sign. Here we'll choose Oscar. Yeah, Oscar 11. That's good. I'm gonna make a trigger anybody to be sure. Then I'm gonna click on synchronize and synchronize the module with both the unit itself and the trigger, like this. Okay, so that's the headquarters. They are gonna be called Oscar 11. And they are gonna respond to the player. So false target is still on, and we'll wait 9 seconds. Okay, and now he's gonna say like sorry, somebody is just scratching the door, which is a little bit unnerving because I'm by myself at home. Okay, confirmed Alpha. We already know that the player's group will be called Alpha because he's the first thing that we have created, and that is always Alpha. Target is about to arrive by a helicopter. Something like this. You can just use whatever you want. Okay, so this will be the response from the headquarters. We'll move the helicopter a little bit further away, and we are gonna create some waypoints for the helicopter. So the first one will be on the helicopter's position itself, and we'll add a condition, and that will be false target again. So until this condition is actually true, the helicopter will just stay on this position. Then it will start moving. So the next move will be slightly closer to the base, and the last one will be on this helipad that I created earlier. And I will choose the category Advanced, type Land, so that the helicopter can actually land on the helipad. I'll also move these groups a little bit further away. And oh, I haven't mentioned these groups yet, have I? Okay, so these are just groups created with F2. You just click on Independent, select a group of soldiers, and then I assign them four waypoints actually. The first one it's this one. They are all safe behavior and limited speed, so that the soldiers actually walk with their weapons lowered. But once they spot the player, they will start more searching for him, and they will go back into the combat stance. So they just move around, and the last one of the four is the cycle waypoint, which actually makes sure that the units will cycle over and over. I also have two vehicles here, two striders that are also just moving back and forth through the base. It's like more of a decoration than actual base defense. I mean, the player will be so far away that they will not even spot him. You will see in the mission itself later. Okay, so let's continue creating units. We will create a car that the officer can use later to escape if needed. It will be a strider. I'll name it car, and I'll also disable the damage for it, just so that the player cannot shoot through its tires and actually disable the vehicle's movement, because it would be really tedious to see a stopped vehicle and the player unable to shoot his target. The mission would never end, so I want the vehicle to get away at all times if needed. So it will be around over here, just like this. I'm gonna move this heliport a little bit more like this. Okay. Then I'm gonna create a soldier so that the officer actually has a reason to stop and talk to somebody. And this will be just a normal soldier. I mean, I don't need anything special for him. He will be just here to create some distraction, and I'm gonna use a flag as well. So I'm gonna choose for example this flag, and I'm gonna choose my custom texture for the flag. It's really easy to set up this set flag texture, and I'm gonna use the flag.jpg, and I have already made the image before. I believe it's 256 times 128. I'm not sure right now, but it should be something along those values. Of course, watch the tutorial on flags if you are not sure about how flags are made, and the flag textures, of course. And I already have another flag over here. Okay, so what do we need right now? Oh, we need the officer in the helicopter actually. That should be nice. So we'll use two commands. This assign as cargo heli, so that the helicopter actually counts the officer as its cargo and it doesn't like reject him. And this move in cargo heli. And this will teleport the officer straight into the helicopter. So that is what I wanted to make. We have the officer set up, we have him, okay. Now we want to create the scene where he actually leaves the helicopter and he goes closer to the dude over here. I'm gonna make a game logic over here. As you know, I always add an I in front of my game logic's name, so this will be I dialog, so that I know that it's an imaginary unit and it actually doesn't exist in the game. It's just like a reference to a location for me. And I want to make a trigger, most probably, yes. Yes, I'm gonna make a trigger. Okay, it will be... No, I'm gonna use this waypoint. It's gonna be, I'm gonna unassign the officer's vehicle, so unassign vehicle officer, so that he actually leaves the helicopter. I'm gonna send him to the dialog location. So once the helicopter lands, the officer leaves, he goes to the dialog, and he starts talking to his colleague. And when that happens, I mean, officer distance I dialog is less than 4, we can easily test that. This will be the player's chance to kill the officer. So I'm gonna make like... Well, first things first, I'm gonna send the helicopter away. So heli move position, or not, heli move 0, 0, 0. I don't really care where the heli ends up. I won't need it for the rest of the mission, so I can just send it away. So that's this, and yeah, we'll take care of the whole elimination process by a script that I'm gonna make at the very end. We are also gonna use some custom music. We are gonna set up the identity, as you could see at the start of this video. And for right now, I think that we have a lot of things prepared. Yeah, do we need anything else actually? I'm gonna add another condition over here. So I'm gonna use brackets so that you can see it better. So this is the first condition. Now I'm gonna add another one. So I'm gonna use and, sorry for the mouse, and another brackets and another condition. And I'm gonna use not another pair of brackets, officer in heli. Okay, so once the officer is 4 meters from the I dialog unit and he is not in the helicopter can start moving. And we'll have our target ready. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add an event handler to the player. Event handler, actually, it's a very strange thing in Arma. It launches under very specific conditions. There are quite a few event handlers to be used, and I'm gonna use the fired one. And let me show you what it does, more or less. So I'm gonna use like any variable, so I'm gonna use number. Sorry for the mouse again. number equals to player add event handler, different pair of brackets. I'm gonna use the fired one. And then, what do we want after the player has fired his weapon? We want to check for multiple values, and we are gonna do that in the script. So any variable, we don't need any parameters to be passed to the script, so that's basically this. So because I could pass like what weapon the player used, or how much ammunition he has, or whatever, but I don't really need that. I mean, once the player shoots a sniper rifle just outside the enemy base, the enemies should probably spot him. So it doesn't really matter if he has hit the target or not. We can check for that later. Right now we want at all cases, we want to launch the script. The script can alert all the soldiers in the area, and then we can look if the officer is dead and the mission is completed, or if he's still alive and he should run away, or whatever else. Okay, so I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna go to the mission folder, where I'm gonna create a script.sqf file, and I'm gonna fill that with some commands. So I'm gonna see you in a couple of seconds. Of course, you know how to make scripts. If not, watch my other tutorials, there's a lot of them, and I explained it quite a lot of times already. So yeah, go to your mission folder, create a script, beware of the extension, and that's basically it. So I'm gonna see you in a couple of seconds. Okay, we are back. So what are we gonna do in this off tutorial part of the video? We are gonna make a script, then we are gonna make a description.txt where we are gonna define a music category, an identity, and two debriefings, because I want both the mission to succeed or fail based on player's performance. So we'll see how it goes. First thing that we want to do in this script is we want to remove the event handler so it only launches once in a mission, because basically the first shot from the sniper rifle reveals the player, it alerts all the units in the area, and the officer probably won't stay on one spot under fire from sniper rifles, so we can deal with all of this in just one event handler. We don't need any more. So I'm gonna remove it. Remove event handler. Fired. We still talk about the same one, and it's the first one that we have created, so it has the index of 0. If you have done any programming before, you know that the index almost always starts with 0 and not with 1. So we will reveal the player for all units in the area, and I'm gonna do by combining several commands together, and that is I'm gonna use a reveal player or reveal command to reveal the player to all the units. So basically I'm using the for each, which is something like a loop. So it uses this local variable x, this magic variable, and for every single one of them, for every single one object from the array that comes after this command, it replaces the name of the object with this x, and it executes the commands. So basically I have all units, which is all the units in the entire mission, and for each of all of these units I'm gonna do reveal player. That doesn't really affect the player's unit because he already knows about himself, and we don't have any friends in the area or any, like, I don't know, support or enemy reinforcements. We only have the enemies in the camp, so we can use all units. Okay, so we So everyone on the map or in the mission actually knows about the player's position. Then we'll wait for 1 second, because once the player has fired his shot, we actually need to wait until it lands, until it hits the officer, until the officer dies, and the game registers him as dead. So we want to wait a little bit, and then we'll ask if he's alive or not. So if he's not alive, and I'm gonna do that like this, by using the if-then structure. If he's not alive, then we have been successful, and that means that I'm gonna create a variable. Eliminated is true. That marks me that I have successfully eliminated my main target, and I can end the mission. I'm gonna use that in my triggers later to see if I have actually succeeded or not. Then I can wait a couple of milliseconds. Actually, I'm gonna just wait like a very little time, and I'm gonna report to the headquarters again. Target eliminated. Moving to extraction point. Now we are actually gonna make an extraction point, or more or less a location where the mission ends. I don't really want to make a complicated extraction point. I just want the player to return actually somewhere, and that will be a little house. And I want him to return to the house after eliminating the officer, so that we can continue with the mission after the main target has been killed. It just doesn't make sense to just end it right away. You need to continue with the mission. So I'm gonna do that. In this case, we are also gonna play the music. So we are gonna play the music called music. I'm gonna make that later in the description.txt. And we are gonna use the for each again, and we are gonna use like set behavior combat for each all units. Now if you're under the impression that I'm actually not thinking about these commands and I'm just using one after another, you are actually correct. I have done this mission 2 times before, so I have decided I'm not gonna change anything anymore, and I am rewriting the script that I have made earlier because it works, and I have it makes no sense for me to think of it again. I can just write what I have already done before. But I'm explaining all the commands, so there you go. Okay, now we are in the else section of the script, and that means if the officer is still alive. And I'm gonna add another condition over here, and I'm gonna ask if he is in the helicopter. And what does it mean? I'm basically asking if the player shoots before he even sees his target, because until then the player has no chance to see his target. I mean, the helicopter is kilometers far away, and it only arrives after he has done some things in the mission, but he might shoot at at first 5 seconds, and I want to prevent that. That might cause some havoc in my mission. I want to prevent that, so I'm gonna use this condition like an extra safety protection. Whatever. Okay, so if he is in the helicopter, we want to fly away with the helicopter because it will not land if the base is under attack. They will not send their most valuable officer there with no weapons and with no security if the base is under attack. So for this case, I actually am not sure if the helicopter just flies away when I tell it to fly away with the move command. So I'm using all the commands that I know and I have already used the flying height 50, and that's pretty much straightforward. Then I have marked the helicopters group, which is, it only contains the helicopter itself, and I have moved the waypoint position. I'm gonna change that to 2. Oh, almost made a big mistake there. I have changed the waypoint position index 2, so the third one, so the landing one, to 0, 0 coordinates. And what does it do? And it should, in theory, move the helicopter's waypoint so that it doesn't land, but it moves to 0, 0 and then tries to land on the sea. So basically it just gets away. I'm also gonna use the move command, and I'm gonna send it to 0, 0, 0 like this, and then we can sleep for like 1 second. We can make everybody angry again, set behavior, combat, for each all units. Again, these set behavior commands have no effect on the player's unit, so it doesn't really matter. It only affects the AI, and that is only the enemy soldiers in the base, and I guess the helicopter, but that doesn't really matter. And what then? We can report back to the HQ, why not? So we have been detected. Going back to extraction point. So this is the first failed case. We can sleep a couple of seconds, and then I'm gonna just end the mission right away. So I'm gonna use the closing shot for this. And I can't forget, eliminated needs to be false. So what have I done? Now that I have stopped writing, I can actually focus on what I'm doing. I have reported back to the headquarters. I have told them that I'm going back to the extraction point, but I'm not gonna wait for that. If the player fails the mission, I'm gonna end it after a couple of seconds, and if he's successful and actually eliminates his target, he has to go to the extraction point. Well, you have extra variety in the mission. You actually see how things can be done differently, so there's that. Now we can continue with the script, and we have terminated with the part that asks if the officer is in the helicopter. If he's not, we can continue. So eliminated is false. This is the part of the script that will be launched if the player has shot, he has not hit his target, and his target is not in the helicopter, so he's actually outside and the player just didn't hit him. So we want him to stop doing whatever he might be doing. He might be stretching or something at that moment. We want him to lay down on the ground immediately. That's what most people will do. And we want him to go to the car as fast as he can. So basically what we are doing, I'm not gonna use the move in cargo because that just teleports him inside. I'm only gonna use the assign as cargo, and that basically tells the officer that he really should be in the car. And the car will of course wait for the officer to get in. So it's more or less like a waypoint, not so much. It's a very specific command, but it will get the officer in the car, and that is what is important. Then I'm gonna wait until he's actually in the car. So officer in car, like this. And we can start moving with the car. So car move. and I can't move it to 0, 0, 0. That doesn't make any sense, so I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna use a variable position I exit. I haven't defined the I exit yet, but I will when I get into the editor. So I can't forget about that. Wait until, if you actually use a variable that doesn't really exist in the game, it can't work, of course. Then we'll wait until the car gets close. So I'm gonna wait until it gets 40 meters or closer. And the HQ will tell us that he is far away. So target has escaped. Go to extraction point now. Okay, so but this is a failed example, so I'm gonna, oh my god, sleep 8 seconds and end the mission. And do bis FNC end mission. So that's that. And do we need anything else? I'm just checking what I have done here, if it's gonna work or not. If not alive, then else. I think that's okay. I think that we don't need anything more at the moment. If we do, I'm gonna go back to this script, but for now I think that we can save and go to the description.txt, and we'll see how we go from there. Okay, so this is the description.txt, not a big deal. I have already made all the code because it's just, you just copy and paste it from another mission or from some resource. Well, basically, like some of my tutorials are, you always have all the code in the pastement pages down below the videos in the descriptions. So this is the class music. I have created only one music track. It's called music.ogg, and I have it in the music folder of my mission. It's I believe it's a somehow muffled version of my outro music that I have been using before for some special commands, for some special effects in my videos. Next we have the identities class. I have defined only one identity, that is the soldier class, and I'm gonna apply that to the player once I get back into the editor. It's just a random identity. I haven't really bothered with some specific values over here, but I just want to show you that you can easily set an identity and then use it in a mission. It's really a simple thing. And next we have the debriefing part. We have 2 debriefings, end 1 and end 2. I'm gonna use the end 1 as the successful ending. You can see mission completed, good job, description, and I'm gonna use a background picture, and it's a flag.jpg. It's the only picture that I have in my mission. It's a French flag, so I'm gonna use that just to show you that it's possible to use a custom image there. The ending 2 will be the third one, the failed one, so mission failed, you failed, or whatever else in the description. Again, I'm gonna use the same picture just to show you that it works. So this is my description.txt. There's not a lot to say about this. It's really just the code that you copy and paste from another mission. Okay, I think it's time to go back to the editor. Or wait a minute, I'm gonna use the init.sqf as well, so let's create that. Okay, here we go, init.sqf. I'm gonna use it just to define one variable, and that will be eliminated, is false, because I will actually ask the game if it's true or false, and I want it to be defined at at all times. And then I'm gonna use the init.sqf to create something in the briefing. So I'm gonna use the create diary record like this, and don't get mad at me. I'm gonna copy the code from my other mission that I have already prepared. So this is the beginning, this is the ending, like this. Here is the custom text that I want, here is the what I want. Okay, so as you may probably know, the br/ sign takes me to another line, so I'm gonna use that. And what I'm gonna write here, target description, no weapons, target location, Stratis, airport docks, something like that, because we want the player to believe that he's actually on the ship. We don't want to tell him that he is in the helicopter in the briefing. That doesn't really make sense. We want him to tell that during the mission. And target, like special info, likes to talk. New line. Okay, now we can use a custom image, for example. I'm gonna copy paste this. This makes a new image in the briefing section. I'm gonna show that in the mission once I get back into the editor. And that's all that I need for now, I think. There is not a lot else to do here, so let's go back to the mission. We need to define the iExit, we need to do the proper successful ending, we need to review the mission, we need to see if everything's working or not, and we need to also see all the errors that the game will inevitably throw at us. So save this, back to the editor. Okay, so we are back to the script.sqf. For one little stop, we need to add on the last line, I had only end2 bis fnc end mission, and we of course need to call the function. So that's a very important word that I missed before. Now we can go back safely and we'll know that the script is working. Okay, back to the editor. We have almost everything prepared. I just want to make the ending that will be around this house, and I will actually make one more case that can happen, and that is once the player shoots, he misses the officer, but he manages to kill him before the officer gets into the car. So I'm gonna make something like this. I'm gonna use the condition, I'm gonna use two conditions, so not eliminated. So once the eliminated is false, and that is activated when the officer doesn't die, and not alive officer. So once he actually is dead, but the game hasn't switched to the eliminated equals to true, and that has to be for 4 seconds. Remember that we have some small delays in the script where we are waiting like 1 second, half of a second for this and that. So we want to make sure that he is completely dead, but the game hasn't switched at all. In that case, that means that the player actually had to reload in 4 seconds. He had to relocate his target, and he is about to shoot again. And he has already like eliminated his target, but it took him more than 1 shot, which is what we are deciding in the script. So eliminate can still turn true and the mission will be successful, but the HQ will not be happy about the situation because you have attracted too much noise. You have attracted too much attention by doing too much noise, and basically you are not a good sniper. So what are you doing there? Back to the extraction point. Now, they can be a little bit upset. I mean, you failed. You do not deserve anything at the moment, like a sniper. Okay, let's make a smaller trigger around this house. I'm gonna connect it to the player, so just take F2 groups, click on the trigger, drag the line to the player's unit. It will connect like this. Open the trigger again. You can now see that it can be activated only by the player himself, which is awesome. And we are gonna do a combined condition, this and eliminate it. We are basically asking for the script for the trigger to activate only when the player is in the trigger area and he has already eliminated his target. So we are gonna call the end mission. End 1. Call end of base FNC end mission. Like this. So the mission is actually successful once you get to this location. Okay? So I think that's it. I mean, we can test the mission. We should have everything prepared. The player will inform everyone about this ship, then he will wait, he will try to shoot his enemy. Oh, we haven't done the I exit. I almost forgot. I exit over here, far away. That's enough. Okay. Save. We can test it. I have already added markers as well. As you can see, this is the player's starting and ending location at the same time. This is his target, but he doesn't know that this isn't his target, so he has this question mark over here, and that marks the real position of his target. You can hide this and reveal this and create this dynamically all you want. I just made it very simple. It's a question mark and that's it. So let's test it properly. I'm gonna hit review and I'm gonna hold shift while clicking the preview to actually display the briefing message before the mission itself. Waiting for loading. Okay, here we go. So we have our custom info over here. Target description. He has no weapons. He is somewhere in the airport area and he likes to talk, so he'll probably be around for a long time. So here's the mission. We start just next to the enemy base. There's the ship right in front of us. So I'm gonna move slightly closer. Then I'm gonna take my rangefinder and I'm just gonna look around the ship. This isn't the best tactic. The nose about command is really bad. There you can see the dude and the target, then the cargo containers. I have already tried the cursor target command, which is even worse than the nose about. And you know, you probably would need a more complicated script. There's the helicopter incoming. And I'm sure that there are many of these scripts that that do this kind of stuff. I even made one script before for one of my missions that controls if an object is actually on the player's screen, and it really does a good job, but it's calibrated for a different value a little bit. It's like not exactly what you want, and I would have to rewrite it, and I'm just... No, this is far beyond the level of what we are doing here in these videos, so I'm not gonna bother you with that. There's the helicopter landing on the helipad, and we'll just use the nosebout. Alright, let's go back to the mission. There's our officer right over there. He is about to move to his eye dialogue position, then he will stop and we'll have our chance to hit him. So this is it. I hope that I can hit him actually. It's not 100% perfect. And let's shoot. Oh, we get him. Yeah, there's the music. Moving to extraction point now. Let's look around the base. Yeah, the soldiers are alarmed, but I'm so far away that they can't see me. They know about my location, but they actually can't spot me over here. In your mission, you should have your enemy soldiers set up so that they are actually a threat, not just a decoration like in my mission. They should actively search for the player. But that's like a minor thing in the mission. You can have them positioned differently, you can have the player's location a bit different. This is really so that I can easily and peacefully just show you how the mission is done from the sniper's perspective. I don't actually have to play the mission, I don't have to make it difficult for myself. I just shoot a completely innocent target and then I go away. That's why I made this mission on Stratis. Okay, we are close to the house. There we go, mission completed. So the mission works perfectly. I mean, we have done what we were meant to do. Wait for the debriefing part to show up. Good job. French flag. Continue. Okay. So that's it for this mission. Basically, I think that there's not much else I could do. Preview once again. I'm gonna show you what happens if you don't hit the enemy officer. Let's continue really quick. I'm gonna speed up the time to 4 times the speed. Come back closer to the ship. Quickly search for it. Oh, where is the ship? Where is the ship? Oh, there it is. Okay, switch the weapons. And basically there are 4 cases that you can test out in this mission. You can shoot now and the mission will be not successful, it will be a failed. You can shoot later, like what I'm gonna do, and not hit the enemy officer, and you can shoot, miss, and then shoot again and hit the officer. And see what happens. I mean, as far as I know, it should work just fine. You have to be really quick on the second shot, because we have only some limited time before the mission actually ends. And that's all just a concept of the mission. You can change that in your example. I'm gonna leave this mission, as always, in the video description for download. So you can open it in the editor yourself. You can see how things have been done, how I have created this mission. You can repeat the process, or you can perhaps just improve on the mission. I mean, make something awesome out of this. I don't really, I'm not against it, I'm not above that. You can create all that you want. Okay, the officer is on his place. Let's not hit him. the officer is on the ground and he is moving slowly to the car. The car is just a few meters away, so he is on his way. Now he should stand up, go to the car and quickly just get away. Once he is inside, the car can continue. So the car drives off. Now you can't hit the car, well, you can hit it, but you can't damage it. So that's that. The soldiers are not very alarmed. That doesn't really matter. At the moment, I think I haven't included the command for turning them to combat stance. So the car is quite close to the exit unit. Once it gets there, target has escaped. Go to the extraction point now. You could go if you had the mission set up in that way. I have it only time-based, so mission failed right here, right now. So yeah, I mean, that's everything I wanted to show you right now. This is the sniper mission. I'm probably gonna, well, most probably I'm gonna continue in like another few weeks with another mission. Feel free to tell me if you want a specific type of mission from me. Otherwise, I'm just gonna come up with something else. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope to see you all in the next one. Comment, like and share, and have a great day.